with a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television. It is Tuesday, the 13th day of May, 2025, and we're coming to you live from the Port Mall here in Scarborough, Tobago. I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it.
Good morning, and my name is Akinla Beholder, and I am ready. I am up. We're ready to go here at the Tobago Update Studio. And you know, Trinidad and Tobago is never a dull moment, Adana. And we have some latest developments concerning Miss Erla Haywood Christopher Haywood, sorry.
You put it right, Akinlabi. Never a dull moment in Trinidad and Tobago, you know. And the thing about it is that we're so fast on the draw. Sometimes you see the comments and the memes you know. But on a serious note, we at a position now where we kind of questioning the system in terms of how does the system work? Because you're here, you have a position where somebody was suspended based on allegations made, suspended for extended period of time, and now coming forward to saying that there isn't sufficient evidence to charge, and you know, and so now what are the next steps? And you're hearing now that there is a possibility of a lawsuit towards the state. So we're going to see how that unfolds. We will see how that unfolds. But I mean, we have questions, and we, you know, we always, rightfully so, we want to know what is happening, and we kind of want to understand how do you make those types of decisions? How do you get from point A to point B in terms of deciding on those decisions? Of course, you know, we're going to have those conversations here in the studio, and we want you to be a part of all that is happening with us. But before we get into that, we head on over to the news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Commissioner Erla Haywood Christopher resumed duty on May 12th after her suspension was lifted following the DPP's decision not to pursue charges related to her January arrest. Though the court upheld the suspension as lawful, Haywood Christopher insists she was vindicated and plans to appeal. Her lawyer Pamela Elder intends to advise legal action against the officers involved in her arrest, which stemmed from an investigation into sniper rifle imports. With her contract ending May 14, her future remains uncertain pending possible extensions, discussions by the government, and official word from the Police Service Commission. Up next, a recent industrial court ruling could cost the Tobago House of Assembly over $3 million following its political motivated and unlawful dismissal of 13 contract workers after the 2021 elections. The workers employed since 2009 in the Community Partnership Unit were dismissed without proper restructuring evidence or consultation. The court found contradiction in the THA's defense and labeled the dismissal as harsh and oppressive. While the Advocate Trade Union must submit compensation details by May 29th, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine says an appeal is underway and he is confident the ruling will be overturned. And finally, more than a month after her sudden death, the long-awaited forensic autopsy of 41-year-old Ayana Castanda is set to take place tomorrow at the Scarborough General Hospital. A prior clinical autopsy raised suspicions of foul play, prompting police involvement. However, the absence of a forensic pathologist in Tobago delayed the investigation and left her family in limbo. Conflicting accounts of her final moments, ranging from moringa tea consumption to a post-cooking outdoor bath, have added to the uncertainty. The upcoming autopsy may finally provide answers and allow her family to begin the process of closure. And that was your news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Biana, for our news there in 90 seconds. And while there are things happening nationwide, I want to stay a little bit in Tobago, in the Tobago space. Your second news story there, and you know, of course, we saw the results coming out there from the court. The Tobago House of Assembly stands to pay now $3 million of state funds, taxpayers' money, to because of unlawful, what is termed as unlawful dismissal of a number. I think it's 13.
Yes.
13 staff members. Where are the words? I mean, where you think about this? How you're feeling, and what are your thoughts? When I saw it yesterday, I was just like, okay. So I'd like to know where you stand where this is concerned, Akinlabi.
It seems to be just an ongoing problem that we have in the Tobago House of Assembly, where whether it is justified or not, we seem to get rid of people in the assembly without due process, and we're in a constant case of paying out hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in settlements to persons. And I think that there needs to be some sort of review in the way we manage our HR processes within the assembly to really kind of nip this thing in the bud.
Biana?
I'm lost for words as to where the situation is concerned, but is it that the matter where they're stating that it was a political situation? What kind of process was taken before the dismissal? These are questions that been juggling the mind as to, was this process taken, just say, well, dismiss, or how was it how they went about the actual process.
And we do understand that some hires are politically motivated, and that's fine. They have the authority and the power and the will to employ persons. When you take up office as a political office, as a person in politics, you have that space. There's that space created for that. And of course, if you now take office and there's somebody there from the previous party, you also do have the right to. But I think there's, as you rightfully said, the process. How is it done? How is it phased out? And but what we're hearing is that the position forwarded was not that it was politically motivated. They were saying that they were restructuring. That's what they presented. That it was a restructuring process, and the courts have found that there was no structure, there was no restructuring, there was nothing done in terms of what the THA submitted as the reason for the removing of the staff there. So that is my challenge there. I mean, if it was politically, if they said, well, we're here now and we want our own people, I would have accepted that faster than the fact that it's being disguised as could I use the word disguised though, as a restructuring, when there was
argued as a restructuring.
That's the correct word, argued as a restructuring, and there is no evidence based on what the court is saying. There's no evidence of restructuring. So those are the things we need to be careful of and mindful of. I mean, at the end of the day, while you might have your preference as a political affiliate, at the same time we also have to consider that people have planned their lives around sustainable income, their regular income. So we have to consider those things as well.
But my other question though is, since the establishment of this unit in 2009, exactly what the unit was responsible for, because it says community partnership unit, but what exactly was the portfolio of the persons there?
I think that was one of the arguments that they made when they closed the unit down in the first place, that the unit wasn't really functioning, they weren't doing much, they weren't giving any reports, they weren't on the kind of work that they were doing. And that raises another side to the issue that we have. Yes, we have an issue where when a party comes into power, they let persons go, a number of persons lose their jobs. But we also have the next end of the problem, where when a party comes into power, they also create sort of like make work programs or make work units and just give persons jobs as political favors. It's probably going to happen with the central government now that a new administration is in power. So two things we need to really address in Trinidad and Tobago is, one, how do we stop politicians from creating these, I don't want to say ghost departments, but these kind of make work departments are not really serving a function to the net benefit of the citizenry. And two, when the administrations change, how do we deal with those departments in a proper and legal manner?
Okay. And that's the thing. The second point, especially, I want to jump on that. How do you deal? Because at the end of the day, somebody comes in there with an expectation that, listen, this is my salary, this is my income for a period of, let's say they got a contract for 3 years. And so they plan out things. You know, they might take a loan, a mortgage, they might purchase a car, the child going off to school, because they have the security in their mind of a period of time where sustainable income is coming in. So those are the things we have to consider. Yes, you might want to change out city, you might want to change out some things that the previous administration might have put in place, but you also have to consider what is the fallout. You see, if you close down the unit, then give me a nice handshake so that I could feel as if, okay, at least I could find my way for at least a couple of, you know, whether it's 6 months, a year, or whatever, but let me leave with something knowing that, okay, and at least I have time, I could live off this and still find some other type of gainful employment. So those are the things. Or
you could repurpose the units and put them to work, in a, make them productive. So instead of sending them home, because at the end of the day, whether it's your political affiliates or not, or these persons were just given political jobs as political favors, we are all Tobagonians. These persons have families, they have children, so putting them on the breadline is, for me, is not the best thing, and we've seen it done in the past, not just this administration, but other administrations have done it. And it's something that we really need to address in,
and Tobago,
in Trinidad and Tobago.
When you say reassign them, there's work to do, you know. There's work to do. So yes, reassigning them would be, perfect, in fact. There are things to be done. They can, as they say, they wanted to assess the unit and restructure, then do that, and reassign persons and ensure that they are gainfully employed, not just collecting a salary, but they are also producing at the end of the day. That's the situation we have right now, and we are hoping that we can do better in Trinidad and Tobago, especially in the Tobago space. When there's 60,000 of us, and of those 60,000, not everybody employed, right? Some are still in school, but we can do better for each other. All right, Bianna, thank you so much for being on set with us this morning and going through that conversation. I do hope you have an amazing day.
Same to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the morning where we celebrate with those who are celebrating. It's time for our birthday shout-outs. And of course, we here at Tobago Updates Television, we love celebrating with you. And so we start off the celebrations this morning by saying happy birthday to Mr. Wendell George, known as Wiggy. Happy birthday to you. We do pray God's blessings upon your life, and we hope that you have an amazing and wonderful birthday today.
We continue and say happy birthday to Miss Kenisha Dennis. Happy birthday to you, Miss Dennis. Pray God's richest blessings upon you. We know that today is a special day, and we know that special people will be treating you very nice today. We hope that you take the time off to reflect on your life and you plan towards your goals and all the things that you want to achieve over the next year. Happy birthday to you.
We also say happy birthday to Mr. Anroy Utley. Anroy Utley is celebrating a birthday today as well. And Anroy, we pray God's blessings upon your life, and we pray that as you enter this new chapter, that the pages are beautifully written. So happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to my good friend, Miss Kimoy John. Happy birthday to you. And she's an aspiring entrepreneur. She has a small business, and she's very ambitious, a very ambitious woman. I know that your family will treat you with love and care and tenderness today. And I pray that you put God first in everything, and you'll allow him to guide your path. Happy birthday, Miss John.
All right. And of course, as you're talking about your good friend, this is my good friend, Mr. Edward Jones, known to many as Ted Jones. He's celebrating a birthday today, and we say happy birthday to you, Ted. We pray God's blessings upon your life, and we pray that as you enter this new chapter as well, that you find goodness and joy and peace and love and harmony in the pages written of this new chapter. God's blessings upon your life as you continue to walk in purpose. So happy birthday to you, my friend. And of course, even if you are celebrating and we don't have your photo, we're still joining the celebration with you. We here at Tobago Updates Television, we love a good celebration. So we join with you, but we also remind you to put God first, because he is the sole reason why there's even anything for you to celebrate. All right, so who are we having conversations with this morning in studio, Akinlabi?
All right, so this morning we have a full slate of persons to talk to. First up, we're going to have Miss Rishana Trim, who's a senior social services worker at the Division of Health, as well as Mr. Jared Commoner, who is a safety officer within the THA, and they are going to be talking about mental health and the workplace. You know, mental health is a very important thing, Adana. Up next, we're going to have Nigel Eastman, founder of Zadan Eastman, and he's going to be talking about Tobago Fashion Quarter 7. And finally, we're going to have in from the THTI, Ms. Chantel John. She's a facilitator at THTI, and she's going to be talking about bees and teas.
All right, sounds pretty good, and I do hope that you, our viewers, can stay tuned and be a part of the conversation this morning. Remember, we also want to hear your views and your opinions on the matters we discuss right here on the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. Remember, you can use our Facebook page at Tobago Updates Television and our YouTube channel. Let us know what your thoughts are, let us know what your comments are, so that we can also integrate you into the conversation. Yes, you matter a lot to us, and we want to know what you think and what you say. And for those of you who are joining us on AMPLIA 102 or on floor 121 or 130, we welcome you this morning. Whether you're right here in Tobago, in Trinidad, the Caribbean region, the United States of America, Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, wherever you are this morning, this is your opportunity to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions, powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window for me house, yeah? I want no shake thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet ya. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but my children, cousin Tofina tell me, for call all you go get proper thing for put there. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Springer down by the page down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and them Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russell Tree Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. We begin conversations this morning in studio by speaking with Ms. Rashana Trim, Senior Social Services Worker at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, and Mr. Jared Quamina, who is an OSH officer assigned at the said division with the Tobago House of Assembly. The topic this morning is mental health and the workplace as we celebrate Mental Health Month. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Right, a pleasure having you here with us this morning as we go through this very, very important topic. And as we're talking about mental health, before I even get into the workplace, mental health is something that in the past, culturally, we have not paid a lot of attention to because of the taboo that it carries with it in Trinidad and Tobago, primarily in Tobago and in smaller communities. And now we're seeing a lot of talk and conversation about awareness for mental health. And before we get into the conversation, I just want you to share with us what is the importance of placing, attention to your mental health, generally as a person before you even get into the workplace.
I think that a lot of people pay more attention to physical health, but mental health is just as important as physical health. If we are not functioning mentally, then everything can fall down, right? So mental health can actually influence our physical health as well. So mental health is really, really important. Mm-hmm. I think we don't pay much attention to it because of the taboo, mm-hmm. right? And we have a lot of stigma attached to it. So usually we use words, not people's first words. Mm. So we say, well, somebody who is experiencing mental health challenges, they are crazy. Mm-hmm. They're gone crazy, they're gone mad. So I think mental health is still a bit of taboo, and so that's why we're raising awareness as well.
Mm-hmm. And how would you, if you were to define or summarize what mental health is, and what are some of the things people need to pay attention to in terms of ensuring that their mental health is in a good place? Well, how would you define it?
So mental health refers to our psychological, social, and emotional well-being. So it basically affects the way how we interact with others, the way we deal with situations, the way we process stress, the way we collaborate with others. Yeah. It basically influences our perception in life.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, that's a holistic kind of approach there in terms of your whole being, ensuring that you're in a good space. And what are some of the things that can affect your mental health and your mental health being?
All right, one, stress. And so because we're talking about workplace, stress is a big thing in the workplace. So chronic stress, right? That could be from burnout. That could be also from high workloads. It could also just be from the work environment. And so mental health can be affected by stress. And then stress leads to anxiety. It can lead to depression. It can lead to other mental health conditions, right? And so it's important we take care of our mental health.
And what are some of the ways you can actually, before I get into what are some of the ways, we have the USH officer here, and you're talking about stress in the workplace. Sometimes they get overwhelmed, the demands are so high. How do you see mental health affecting the workplace in a way that might bring some type of you have to employ the USH regulations to ensure that people stay safely physically, because this is part of your physical health tying into your mental health as well, right?
Well, basically, thanks. Good morning to everyone. Basically, the USH Act in itself requires that all employers provide a safe and healthy working environment. And as the word says, mental health, this can in fact impact physically on the working environment. Most people come to work, travel from different areas also. Sometimes they may have personal issues occurring at home. Now, so you might have an employee who normally produces a certain amount of production daily or works in a certain manner that you are efficient. But on that day, you see a change in the employee. It also goes into the physical realm where employees may sometimes come now and start to stay home, absent themselves from the job place, or they will take unnecessary chances while at work because the mind's so focused on whatever else is going on in their lives, they don't focus on the task at hand. And with that being done, you will have issues arising such as accidents in the workplace or what we call near misses, which are incidents. These incidents could lead to accidents because health and safety is no longer an approach of just saying, put on a hard hat, put on a boots, and you're good. It is a scientific approach now where we go based on findings, recommendations, also investigations, in addition to taking statistics. So we have a series of different things that we look at, which includes mental health.
And in your experience as an USH officer, we're talking about mental health and what you have just described in terms of how a person can show up in the workplace, having mental health challenges, that they're carrying this burden or this weight, focusing on that rather than the job. How has it affected their job in terms of an incident happening on the workplace?
All right, well, legally I can't talk about specific incidents, but in general, sometimes you will have an employee, let's say a driver. Sometimes you will hear accidents in the workplace which involves vehicles getting in collisions or striking somebody, or even damage to packages. One of the things you ever see that you're so focused on certain issues that you're not looking at the road as normally you would. And in that regard, you could have an accident, or what we call a near miss, which could then lead to an accident. You also have to consider, it might be in the office. Somebody is coming to work, they may be under pressure, have a sick or ailing family member at home. They are the sole provider. While they come into work, they normally will be responsible for, let's say, doing the accounts. Normally with the accounts now, they will be on point. So everything is always, you could depend on them. But all of a sudden now, you have to double check their things. Or then they start to stay home. And in staying home now, you have to bring in 3 people to do the task that one person was doing. So that is one of the ways of many that can affect persons.
And this is interesting because you started off by saying USH is no longer you wear a hard hat or you wear protective PPE to do a job. It really boils down to the individual and what they are going through. What is some of the support that you put in place from your perspective as an USH officer? What type of support can be put in place for after you do your investigations and you realize that patterns have changed with an individual? How do you support them and to navigate through the demands of life?
Well, one of the things that we do, besides training and sensitization of the staff and including management, is we do collaboration with other departments. So in regards to that, we have training sessions, which we have every quarter. We have a series of training sessions for all THA employees. And coming up to Christmas also, in special days, we do open training sessions. Some in the hybrid approach, many in the online approach, so we capture a wider audience. In that, we collaborate. Like last year, we had a collaboration with our colleagues here in health, and we did a holistic thing on mental health in the workplace. So with that, we always collaborate. I could also pass you on to my colleague now who could go further details in regards to some of the initiatives that we have.
Before you go into the initiatives, I really want to hear the initiatives because, as I said before, we really don't pay enough attention to ensuring that you're good. Sometimes somebody might see in the street, how you're going, you're good, and they move on. Not even really waiting to hear if you're really good and true, or not even really wanting to know. It's just casual. I just say, and it's courtesy to ask, how are you going?
Not being intentional.
Right. So how does somebody, if you see the signs coming on, you start to feel overwhelmed, what are some of the things you can do? Are you able to say that you can do to either relax, to really focus on what is happening here and how do I deal with this and not carry it with me in the workplace? Are you able to?
Yes, definitely. So one, engaging in mindfulness. So mindfulness is understanding what is my body saying to me, right? A lot of us ignore what our bodies are saying to us. So sometimes we need some self-care. Our body is saying, listen, you need to rest. So self-care, engaging in self-care. So find something that you like to do. Breathing techniques. Some people feel anxious and just doing breathing techniques may assist. But I'm a big advocate of self-care. I think that it goes a long way with mental health, right? And for instance, persons, we call that presenteeism. Some persons may be here, as you said, right here, physically here, but mentally checked out. And so being aware of what your body is saying. Am I tired? Am I anxious? Am I overwhelmed? It's just keeping a mental check, basically. Yeah.
And it's so very important, and sometimes we just focus on what are required of us, the demands. We just have to do it, and we have to do it, and we know we're dealing with situations, and we wouldn't pay attention to the situation, and we just keep going and going until we crash. And we're hoping, viewers, that we don't crash. Take some time out, as the officer said, check in with your body. What is your body saying? What is your mind saying? How are you feeling? Talk to yourself. You are the most important person in your life, believe it or not. Whether you're a parent, whoever you are the most important person in your life. You can only give when you are filled, right? So fill up yourself before you could pour out. So let's talk now about some of the initiatives that you have ongoing.
All right, so in the workplace, we have EAP services. So these are confidential. So if you're experiencing some mental health challenges, they're EAP services. Structured wellness programs. I think that each organization should at least engage in that. Structured wellness programs, psychoeducation. I always say, once we are aware, we can do better. All right? So it's just about demystifying, destigmatizing mental health. Because again, we have a lot of stigma attached to mental health. And we can only get away from that, break away from old habits through psychoeducation. Also, in the workplace, open door policies, mental health days. We need to come away from how we think about mental health. Mental health isn't, something that's really bad. All right? So it's just changing the conversation. So maybe open door policies, mental health days, paid mental health days. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, life demands so much of us, and what you're speaking about here, it really does lend for that. And I really do hope that, people will take the opportunities to just reflect. And I usually tell a group of people who I am close with, even if it's 5 minutes per day, focus on you. So many things could circulate in your mind in that 5 minutes, and you could come up with solutions to things that demanding on you. I mean, in terms of so that's what the division is doing, or this is just advice you're giving to regular?
Some of these division has already implemented. So the Division of Health, we want to be a catalyst for mental health. We want to be the go-to in terms of people can look at us and say, listen, we can benchmark. We could take this initiative from the Division of Health in terms of how we treat with our staff in regards to mental health, changing the conversations around mental health. Again, we are Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection.
That's right.
And it's really important to protect our minds. And so we're trying to push that as well.
And I know I saw in the past that division, you all have the fun days and stuff at the office, I see where you allow people to just let their hair down, they come casually dressed and they participate in games and activities. Is that something you think should be used throughout all the divisions within the THA? There's one, even if it's half day. Do you think this is something, in terms of the feedback from that, how has it been with your staff?
I honestly feel that it encourages productivity, it encourages teamwork. It also fosters a psychological safe environment. And once your employees feel safe, productivity is on the rise. I believe that mental health is a strategic imperative. It's important. It's important for how workplace productivity. It's important to reduce high turnovers. When people feel comfortable, especially psychologically safe, you can get most things out of them.
I really, really am enjoying this conversation, and I wish we had so much more time to talk about this, because it's something that we really need to pay attention to. And I already start just having the conversation with you. I already start to feel better. Believe it or not, I already start to feel light. Is there any additional information you want to share with our viewers this morning before you go?
We just want you all to know to take care of your mental health. Just as much you're focusing on the physical health, mental health is really important. Listen to your body. Listen to what your body is saying. Engage in self-care. Self-care is not a thing that maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. Just the way how you're getting a checkup from the doctor, you should get a checkup for mental health in terms of, hey, let me do some self-care. I need it.
All right. And Mr. Kwamina, is there any additional information?
Well, basically, safety officers are in each division of the THA. And on a daily basis, we see different persons going through different issues. And sometimes it impacts them unbeknown to them, because what may be perceived as a norm to them could be a sign of trauma or mental health problems. So sometimes we as officers have to be able to see that and become the bridge between staff and management. And even with the stigma attached, everybody likes to say, if he have a mental issue, he mad, he's psychotic. Where it could be that they just recently went through some traumatic experience, where in our department we had 1 or 2 issues and we had to seek help for our staff. So it's not something that is above anybody. And as R. Kelly used to say, if you could see it, you could believe it.
That's right.
And most times KFC will let them teach you, even with any basic customer training, the teacher answer the phone, answer with a smile. You mightn't feel it, but it will transcend, and you don't know if you're affecting somebody.
That's right.
So,
I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking that the measure of training that you all have to go through, I mean, because at the same time, you also have stuff that you are carrying, and you have to deal with it before you even come to lend that support to the staff who needs it. So I am sure, oh gosh, how is it like?
Well, it's a demanding course, and we always have to be recertifying, retraining, first aid. Recently, through other things, because I volunteer also sometimes with other organizations within the THA, we had to do a course on psychological first aid, whereby when you approach somebody, the manner in which you approach them or the words you use could be triggers. So if you see somebody going through something, don't come and say, well, I'm stupid. But if you say, is everything all right? Could be the difference between that person injuring themselves or others. Or they're coming to you and you can now direct them to my colleagues and here in help to say, here, what is what we need for you.
This is a holistic thing, and this is... Can I take a time out to talk to our viewers? This morning, I really want you to pay attention. We have seen in history where people have self-harm, they isolate themselves, they don't want to talk to anybody, and sometimes it can end unfavorable. So let us please pay attention to ourselves. Let us seek the help that we desire, the help that we need, regardless of what anybody else says or thinks. You know what you need. You know, you kind of know when you're performing optimally and when you're not. And when you're not performing optimally, that's when you need to check out a little bit and check in. You know, you need to call somebody. Listen, I need some help. There must be somebody who can provide that measure of support for you. Make sure you build a village around yourself who can support you and carry, who can identify when you are falling off, and who can provide that measure of support to you. Thank you guys so much for coming in this morning and sharing that information. The conversation was really, really amazing, and I do hope that even as you carry out your duties, you also have that measure of support that you need. And one thing I'm carrying away from this is the self-care thing. Oh yes, self-care is very, very important, and I'm going to take that away with me as well. So have an amazing day. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Miss Roshana Trim, Senior Social Services Worker at the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, and Mr. Jared Kwamina, USH Officer assigned to the same division, working with the Tobago House of Assembly. And it's Mental Health Month. Take care of your mentals. Don't let anybody tell you you're crazy or you're stupid, because you're not. You're a human being and you have needs just like all of us do. We have to go for a short break before we continue conversations. And as we do, we invite you to help us. Share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. And before we go into our next interview, we want to go to our photo of the day. Yes, our photo of the day is coming up now. And this is a photo sent in by Mr. Alan Charles. Yes, photo sent in by Mr. Alan Charles. Can you guess where this is? This one might be a bit more difficult for you, but those who traverse the ins and outs of Tobago may know where it is. That is our photo of the day sent in by Alan Charles. Give us your answers on our Facebook and YouTube live chats. Okay, so now we have on the line with us Mr. Nigel Eastman. Mr. Nigel Eastman, who is the founder of Zad & Eastman. And he's going to be talking about Tobago Fashion Code 7 carded for the end of this month, the 31st of May. He would be a designer in the show. Good morning and welcome, Mr. Eastman.
Hi, good morning, Tobago. I have to clarify that almost immediately. It's Zad & Eastman is the company, and I'm not the founder, but it's a collaboration between Umzad Khan and Nigel Eastman. You know, so
Okay.
when this we sell it as Nigel Eastman production alone, it's not like that.
Right, I understand. Thank you very much for the clarification. So tell us about Tobago Fashion Code 7, Mr. Eastman.
Well, Coda has been out there for like 7 years, and it is a showcase of fashion and fashion in Tobago. And it's not just fashion; it's about a high standard of fashion, and it's an experience that is held at the Madalena Grand, and we want people to come out and experience fashion at its best. We're talking about cuts. What is fashion? The question comes. Fashion is cuts and fabrics and styling and colors and shapes and details. And then they ask the question, what is the look? What is the look that you're seeing? You're going to have at least 5 or 6 designers there, and each one with a different look, giving a different message, with a different experience.
So for you, what does participating in this show mean for you? I'm not sure if you've ever been a part of the previous installations of Tobago Fashion Coda, but for this one, this is the first one back
This
for
is my
some
first
time.
year at Coda, but Tobago is not new to me. Understand, Trinidad and Tobago, I lived there my whole life. Everybody in Tobago knows. Most of my clients are from Tobago.
Okay.
So Zad & Eastman is known in Tobago. Actually, Nigel Eastman actually lectures at the University of Trinidad and Tobago in fashion, and over the years we have had Tobago designers. Actually, I'll be showing with one of my students, past students. So
who's that?
Fluorescent Black.
Okay, yes, Daniel Clark.
Daniel Clark. So I mean, the whole idea is his look is unique, and that's one of the things in fashion. You don't want somebody to be an upcoming new designer, and your look is quite familiar. We've seen it before. We want something a little different, something that expresses your personality and your style and your unique flavor of what fashion is.
And you said that you're not a stranger to Tobago. A number of your clients are from Tobago. In your assessment, can you tell us what you think about the fashion industry as it exists in Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago as well?
Well, the fashion industry, well, just like everything else, the COVID has set us back a bit, but we have to revive the fashion industry. Retail is a very tricky thing now because we have online shopping now. But Tobago have always been a very fashionable people. When we have events in Tobago and in Trinidad, Tobago people are fashionable, and Trinidadians as well. So, I mean, the fashion industry, we have to revive it. I think recently Tobago had a showcase of young upcoming designers in Tobago, and this is good. People will have to settle themselves with the industries and all of that, but at least when we go out, we have a look.
Okay, and you said that the industry has to resettle themselves. What are some of the things that you think can be done to really get the industry back up and running in the way it was pre-COVID?
We have to look at different things. Instead of bringing things from abroad, we could manufacture in Trinidad and Tobago, but we have to put things in place for manufacturing. That is very important. So we have to get skilled workers, and labor cost has always been an issue. Understand what would be the price of the garments compared to other countries of China and India who do mass production, but it's much cheaper.
And I want to just go back to the fashion show. I don't know if you're willing to give us a sneak peek into what you plan to bring, what are your themes, what is the name of your collection or anything like that.
What the thing about it is that I think it would be a Caribbean fusion. Mr. Khan and I spoke about it, and it's, we want to show Tobago and Trinidad in a very sophisticated way, but we want to show it Zad and Eastman style.
Right.
So we want to show Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean. By extension, I would be working obviously with Don Grant and his team. I want to thank him very much for being there. I'm going to be working with Richard Young, a creative director who has directed most of the grand fashion shows in Trinidad and the Caribbean, including Guyana and Jamaica and Barbados, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So working with Richard Young is one. Working with Don Grant is two, and his team. The whole idea is that you need people to have a vision of what they want to see, what it should look like, what it should feel like. At the end of that experience at the Madalena Grand, you should understand fashion. I know fashion is a funny thing. You come in, you see the atmosphere, and then there's a collection that wows you at the beginning. Then there are other things in the middle, and then the grand production is last. So when you leave with that grandeur that I experienced something.
So we spoke about the reputation of Tobago Fashion Coda and how it's a very well-established brand. Tell us, what in your experience working with Mr. Don Grant and the kind of things that Tobago Fashion Coda has been offering to persons, because it's not just the night of the show, but they've been doing additional workshops and things. Just tell us, how important are those additional workshops towards building the industry?
Yeah, because the thing about it is fashion, it just doesn't happen to an individual. Sometimes it's a lifestyle. So, I see Mr. Don Grant putting art and music and different things that, it's a lifestyle. You can't just put one part together and say, just we're having a fashion show. No, it's a lifestyle. So he is showing and giving people that experience of a very artistic, a very high-end experience, which is beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing Tobago, because I know Tobago people dress, they come out and they experience beautiful and they know beautiful things. So I'm hoping to see them out there in their numbers, to see the creative director and Don Grant and his team and the beautiful location of Madalena Grand on the 31st of May.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on the Tobago Updates morning show, and we look forward
my last trip in Tobago was beautiful. I was there because I'm also the chief judge for Carnival, and I look forward to Tobago Carnival, and I was there training your judges to prepare themselves for Tobago Carnival. But it's it was a pleasure meeting the people and talking to them and hearing their experiences and how Tobago is so different from Trinidad. But you know what? It's unique and beautiful. But I do look forward. We have a commonality of fashion, and I look forward to that with Don Grant, his team, and the creative director, Richard Young.
Well, we look forward to seeing there. We look forward to seeing the work of Zad and Eastman come May the 31st at Tobago Fashion Coda 7. Thank you very much for your time with us, and we hope that you have an excellent day.
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure. I'll be on your show anytime. Just call.
No problem whatsoever. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break, and when we will be back, we will have a number of discussions. We're going to have some discussions before we wrap up the day's program. So do us a favor, share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back after these messages.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and low, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and low. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, and thank you so much for staying with us. In the next few minutes, I know we only have like about 5 minutes with you, but we just wanted to talk about that very important topic. As you are aware, we are celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. It runs from the 1st to the 31st of May each year, and it was first introduced in the United States in 1949. Did you know that, Akinlabi?
I have no idea. I learned something new today.
Yeah, and you know, the reason for it really is so that people can have an awareness. You know, sometimes you feel different in your body, in your mind, your headspace, you feel different. So it's really to pay attention to the things that make you feel different, why they make you feel different, to kind of check in with yourself to make sure that you're in a good place, you know. And so they made this an international day where people can just reflect. Well, an international period, internationally. So for the entire month, you'd see different organizations having workshops, like we just had the interview earlier with Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection. So they will be having different activities, engaging their staff. You might see caravans, people going to schools, just to bring the measure of awareness. And I'm not sure if you ever thought about the importance and significance of mental health before. From your perspective, in terms of dealing with life, you know, as an adult. I mean, children also have issues there because the expectations of the parents to come first in tests and to be the best at football and to do all the things. But from your perspective as an adult and the demands that come with, you know, being a grown-up, how has it, you know, impacted your mental space?
I think it has impacted my mental space greatly. Just dealing with the various challenges of life that comes with adulthood. And I think it's very, very, very important that all persons take their mental health seriously. Because a lot of us, we tend to tell ourselves that we could take the pressure and we don't need to talk to anybody, we don't need any help, and we say all sorts of things, and before we know it, we have some sort of breakdown. A lot of persons end up having breakdowns because they never really address the issues that are burdening them in their minds, you know. So it's very important that we get some assistance, get some help, seek out the professionals to really help you deal and cope with the things that are troubling you in life.
And you know, you're right, you know, sometimes we wait until it gets too much for us to bear by ourselves, and then you kind of explode. You see the breakdown, you see the separation, isolation, behavioral changes. You used to be good with your friend and you realize your friend kind of not talking to you anymore. You know, we wait until we get to capacity, and then because we were cultured that you're strong. You're supposed to be strong, and you're supposed to man up, and you're supposed to handle your stories by yourself. But the reality is, no man is an island. True. You know, and you really need people around you, you know, even somebody to, the officer, I think the USH officer was talking this morning, and he said even as simple as answering the phone with a smile, it can transmit through that call, and it could do something for the person on the other end, and possibly you as well, you know, and these are things that we really need to pay attention to. And I also want to identify some of the things that we can do to just relax. You know, just to be in a good place where we don't have to really think about what to cook tomorrow. If I have to iron tonight, do I have to pay this bill? And, you know, I have a report to submit at a certain time. What are some of the things you do to kind of take your mind off work and the demands that come with adulthood?
Well, for me, number one, what I do, I go to social media to decompress. Sometimes I go to Netflix. When it gets real bad, I go to the beach. And I'm not really a beach person. I don't like the beach. Anybody knows me, they know I don't like the beach because I just find sand does get everywhere and it's annoying and things.
Right.
But there's something about a calm beach and you just go inside the water. Sometimes I just go inside the water and I just stand up in the water, or just, you know, stoop in the water, let it cover up to my neck, and I just think about life, and that kind of thing helps me to decompress.
And you see, it's just the simple things, you know. It doesn't take it, not really. It doesn't demand much. You don't have to pay for things. There are things that you could use. For me, I like to open the door, like the front door to the house, and just let the breeze come in and hit me on my face. Or even if I'm driving, put the windows down. You know, and there's certain simple little things that we really can do to ensure that we're in a good place. So you need to check in with yourself, viewers. Check in with yourself and ensure you're okay. What can I do today? Do I need a fresh cup of water, a nice cool cup of water, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea? Do I need to just lie down, as I say, Netflix and chill by myself?
Some people just need to sleep.
Like for me, that was the number one, but I didn't want to say that on air, right? You know, and just get back to a good place, and of course, ask for help. It is important to ask for help.
Yes.
We have adopted the macho-ness that I don't need anybody, and that is pride, and you need to get rid of that. You need people, you need help, you need somebody. There must be somebody you could talk to ensure that they help you out with what's going on with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Akinlabi and I here, part of the Tobago Updates television team, we are advising you, please take some time out for yourself. Do a self-assessment, check in with yourself, and also check to see if there's somebody who can help you to carry the burdens that you are carrying. Of course, before we go this morning, there is the photo of the day. Do you remember the photo of the day? Have you figured out where the photo of the day was taken? The photo of the day, Akinlabi, this is a... I don't mind this sun getting in my toes. I don't really like the beach either, but this,
you could go and relax here.
Yeah, I feel
this
like
is a definite place you could go and decompress.
That's right, that's right. And thank you, Mr. Alan Charles, for sending in this photo. And this was taken at the Bloody Bay Beach. Bloody Bay Beach. Always so calm in that area as well. So thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we end the morning show here on Tobago Updates Television, but it's not where we end our programming. We head on over to GMT. So we do ask you to stay with us, and as you stay, we invite you to help us.
Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
The Division of Education is making strides in establishing an inclusive special needs campus in Tobago. THGI celebrates its 2025 graduates, and the Public Service Week is just around the corner. Spend the next few minutes with me as I bring you the latest coming out of the Tobago House of Assembly. This is 116.
Six. Beautiful island.
The Division of Education, Research and Technology has received the project brief for a groundbreaking Tobago campus for persons with disabilities. Developed by the Tobago Special Needs Committee, the proposed campus will offer inclusive education and support from birth to adulthood. Secretary Zorisha Hackett praised the committee's work as priceless, marking a major step toward equitable learning opportunities for all. Public Service Week 2025 takes place from the 21st to the 27th of June, celebrating the hard work of Tobago's public servants across all sectors. So the event highlights excellence in service delivery and promotes a more sustainable future. Stay tuned to the Office of the Chief Secretary's social media platforms for updates and all the details. The Tobago Hotel and Tourism Institute celebrated its 2025 graduates with a beautiful ceremony held at the Lowlands Multipurpose Facility on Thursday, May 7th, 2025.
Today is your day to soak it up and enjoy every minute of it, because you earned it. So let's celebrate love, gratitude, and plenty Tobago vibes. All you make me real proud. You all make Tobago proud.
Your integrity, your professionalism, and your commitment to excellence will be the currency by which you rise. And rise you must, my graduates. This is your time to step confidently into your next chapter because Tobago is watching.
The Occupational Safety and Health Department of the Office of the Chief Secretary recently held its award ceremony, recognizing employees who've contributed to healthy, safe, and resilient workspaces across all divisions in the THA.
To our award recipients, congratulations. Your commitment is not only commendable, it is essential. Let your achievements tonight inspire your colleagues and serve as a powerful reminder that occupational safety and health is not just a responsibility, it is a shared value and a collective investment in our future.
Chief Secretary of Tobago, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, extended congratulations to Mrs. Penelope Beckles Robinson on her appointment as Leader of the Opposition in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago.
The food, the entertainment, the beaches, we have some of the best beaches here. You know, entertainment, some of the most welcoming people you'll ever encounter. Yeah.
To the beaches and them, more or less, Pigeon Point. Nice places, you know, it's a lot of craft made, you know. Nice beaches, nice people, a lot of, what I could say, home economic skills, you know, things that are more indigenous to the island now, boys. So you can learn something, you could get something to carry home.
Bonfire Castara, that is it. I have no more words to say, you don't know. Castara, you know what I'm saying?
I will tell them to explore Pirates Bay because we have clean, clear, crystal water. It's almost like no other. So that will be my request to any tourist coming the island, you know. And they'll get a tour as well, you know what I mean, on the journey.
I would say our rainforest. You know, I love the north side. Castara, Palatuve, Bloody Bay. The north side is absolutely gorgeous. You know, and of course we have on the western end, we have our Pigeon Point and Storby and so on. So, and of course we have bird watching in various places. Tobago is absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't choose anywhere else to live. I love my home. I love Tobago. Exactly. It's absolutely gorgeous. Yes.
And that's a wrap for this week's episode of 116. As always, if you've missed any of our episodes, you can catch them all on our social media platforms. I'm Patricia Nicholson Richards, and I'll catch you in our next episode.
One.
6. Beautiful island.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. And you know, whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. But before we get into this morning's interesting topics and conversations, let's have our news in 90 seconds. Commissioner Erla Harewood Christopher resumed duty on May 12th after her suspension was lifted, following the DPP's decision not to pursue charges related to her January arrest. Though court upheld the suspension as lawful, Harewood Christopher insists she was vindicated vindicated and plans to appeal. Her lawyer, Pamela Elder, intends to advise legal action against the officers involved in her arrest, which stemmed from an investigation into sniper rifle imports. With her contract ending May 14th, her future remains uncertain, pending possible extension discussions by the government and official word from the Police Service Commission. Additionally, a recent industrial court ruling could cost the Tobago House of Assembly over $3 million, following its politically motivated and unlawful dismissal of 13 contract workers after the 2021 elections. The workers, employed since 2009 in the Community Partnership Unit, were dismissed without proper restructuring evidence and consultation. The court found contradictions in the THA's defense and labeled the dismissals as harsh and oppressive. While the Advocate Trade Union must submit compensation details by May 29th, Chief Secretary Farley Augustine says an appeal is underway and he's confident that the ruling will be overturned. And finally, more than a month after her sudden death, a long-awaited forensic autopsy of 41-year-old Iana Castanda is set to take place tomorrow at the Scarborough General Hospital. A prior clinical autopsy raises suspicions of foul play, prompting police investigation. However, the absence of a forensic pathologist in Tobago delayed the investigation and left her family in limbo. Conflicting accounts of her final moments, ranging from moringa tea consumption to a post-cooking outdoor bath, have added to uncertainty. The upcoming autopsy may finally provide answers and allow her family to begin the process of closure. And that was our news in 90 seconds. Guys, this morning we continue as we discuss our first news item regarding the resumption of duty of Police Commissioner Earle Harewood Christopher. Now, this morning we are chatting in his capacity as former police commissioner. We have on with us this morning Mr. Gary Griffith.
Good morning.
Good morning. Now, I want to play a short clip from that video that you submitted because, to be honest, it kind of explains everything. And there isn't really much to ask because you really went through thoroughly the entire idea and perspective of political involvement and disruption within the police service, right? So I'm going to ask my producer to just play a short clip from that.
It is good, once again, to speak not as a politician, but as a former National Security Advisor, Security Minister, and Police Commissioner on matters that directly impact the safety and security of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. The recent situation involving former Commissioner of Police Earle Christopher, this is not isolated, and now presently reappointed Commissioner of Police Earle Christopher. It is the latest in a long line of incidents that expose just how deeply politics has infiltrated our systems of law enforcement and national intelligence. We could start with the Brent Thomas matter, a law-abiding citizen who was abducted outside our territorial jurisdiction on the directive of the then Minister of National Security, because only a Minister of National Security could give instructions for police officers to leave our territorial waters to be involved in any operation. And a judge rightfully questioned how officers involved in that unlawful action could still be serving in the TTPS. But instead, what did we do? We said nothing. Instead of accountability, one of the individuals involved was rewarded with a promotion to Deputy Commissioner of Police by a police service commission that was handpicked by a president who was selected by politicians. And we said nothing. Then there was Pastor Brown, who was defamed and publicly labeled as a self-proclaimed pastor by politically driven actors. All charges eventually dropped, no evidence, just yet again a deliberate, coordinated character assassination campaign. And we said nothing. Next came the case of Roger Bess, a director of the SSE, who acted within the law to facilitate the legal acquisition of weapons for the Defense Force. He too was arrested, humiliated, and dismissed. The charges were baseless, and the attack was political. And we said nothing. I too endured these same tactics. During my tenure, I refused to arrest political opponents without evidence. The response? A report then came out with lies and false accusations written by one named Barrington, who submitted this to a Prime Minister, and he, the Prime Minister, and Blissy Prasad, used this to unlawfully interfere with a merit list for Commissioner of Police. That list was then withdrawn without approval from the Police Service Commission, and a dangerous precedent was set. Once more, we said nothing. And what became of that civilian who submitted the false report? He too was rewarded and appointed director of the SSA. Now, as we go back to the earlier Christopher matter, we are witnessing the same movie with a recycled script. The arrest of a sitting commissioner of police without evidence or legal justification. And this has embarrassed our nation and virtually crippled public trust in law enforcement. Now, this is based on a sniper rifle. A sniper rifle, they claim, which is legally available to licensed civilians for sport shooting.
Well, you saw a bit of that discussion there, and as I was saying, there isn't really much questions to ask when we listen to that because it was very thorough. And I hope that other individuals are following you on social media and have the opportunity to go ahead and listen to it in its entirety. But in essence, you have come out to speak about the interference of politicians as it pertains to the handling of the police and the police matters. But this morning I want to ask, within this short space of time, we hear that the police commissioner, her last day is the 16th of May. What can she truly do to impact crime within the next 3 days?
Well, good morning again. What she had the opportunity for 2 years. What she didn't do in 2 years, she certainly cannot do in 2 days. I think it is cosmetic that she was reappointed just before her termination date, which is good, because at least her name will be cleared. It was very embarrassing. And the sad thing about this is, as I mentioned, any first-year law degree student would have known that if you read the law, a commissioner of police has approval to authorization to issue semi-automatic weapons to a civilian. He or she can do that. So for the attorneys, the police officers who claim to be attorneys in the legal department of the police service, and they were going on television speaking about all of these things of a thorough investigation. They were dumb. They were clueless. They had no knowledge of the law. And they still represented the police on media on a daily basis in the mornings. They did not read that the commissioner of police had authority to approve semi-automatic weapons. Writing all these fancy things to turn the weapon into a sniper weapon that can be used for terrorist activities, and it's a deadly weapon, and it's a weapon that should not be given to civilians. The law said it could, because there are hundreds of civilians who have similar sniper rifles that they use for competitive sport. Any rifle that you put on sights and stuff can be seen and called a sniper rifle. So if they did not read the law, and then what made it worse is the persons who went ahead and arrested her are still in the position. They should be suspended immediately by the Police Service Commission. So all of this, it is unfortunate. My point is all of this is based on politics, because you recall, when you were speaking about Christopher and Roger Best, it was the politicians, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of National Security, speaking all of these ill things about terrorist attempts and assassination plots and plans to bring in these weapons illegally. A director of the SSA was fired because of it, and it was a lie. So all of this again, and it happened even with myself, where a senior government minister called me to tell me he has files and information to arrest David Lee. And then when I look at the files, I realized that there's nothing on it to warrant him being arrested. As soon as I left, the commissioner who replaced me arrested David Lee. And now the taxpayers will now have to pay David Lee, they'll have to pay Lola Christopher, they will have to pay Roger Best, they'll have to pay Brent Thomas, they'll have to pay Pastor Brown, Gary Griffith have a few masters as well that these taxpayers will have to pay. It can't be right. We have to find an avenue to prevent politicians from infiltrating and manipulating investigations.
Right. And there are persons who have raised concern about, a possible response from Ula here with Christopher to her colleagues as it pertains to that arrest. Is it a safe environment for her to go back in there with them still being there? Does it call for a productive working environment, or does it create a toxic work situation?
Well, it does. It does. If it is that senior officers were instrumental in trying to arrest her, and the law was as clear as day, as I said, a first-year law student would have known that. The police officers who were in the legal department were clueless. They were dumb. The law states that the commissioner of police has authority to approve licenses for semi-automatic weapons. The weapon was a semi-automatic weapon. All the hullabaloo, they tried to brainwash, and the Prime Minister as well, tried to brainwash the country. It's an assassination weapon. It's a weapon used for terrorists. It's a weapon that can destabilize the country. These are weapons that were actually being acquired through Roger Best in the SSA for the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. And he had an FUL which gave him the authority to sign for it, as any of the hundreds of civilians had it. So with all of this, and you have senior officers so dumb as well to also keep pushing it, it meant that it's either they are clueless as police officers, which means they should be suspended for being stupid, or this was deliberately done to remove the sitting commissioner of police because of an agenda either by politicians or other senior officers who wanted her job. Whichever it is, the Police Service Commission, the same way they moved with speed to have Ulla Christopher suspended immediately based on the allegations of her being arrested. The same way they should have suspended these individuals for incompetence and falsely arresting a commissioner of police with lies and misinformation that has affected her career, but more so has affected the image of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So
right, and is it possible for her to launch an investigation into these senior officers for the actions that they would have taken against her?
No, I wouldn't do that. If it is himself or herself onto herself, what should happen is that she should write to the Police Service Commission and demand that these individuals be suspended for incompetence, stupidity, or being vindictive. Whichever it is, they should be. Any developed country in the world, if it is that you have junior officers arresting a commissioner of police and had to spend for them to spend 3 days, it meant they were on a fishing expedition. Because if you have nobody is above the law, don't get me wrong. So if a commissioner of police has broken the law, you must make sure you have enough hard-hitting evidence to say, look, I've taken your wicket one time, let's go. But they spent 3 days interrogating her on a fishing expedition, which meant they did not have the evidence required. They were hunting and hoping they could find something. With all of that taking place, it meant that for you to have done that to a commissioner of police, as I said, incompetence or being vindictive, whatever it is, they should be suspended. And the officers who were involved in the investigation from the legal department, there are certain corporal and some others, they should be removed from the legal department. That is what I did, in fact. When I was commissioner, I realized we had police officers who felt that they were attorneys and they were clueless. And that's why I brought in civilians, and all of a sudden we started winning cases. The police lose many cases because these comical wannabe attorneys who are police officers with their first degree, they go up against seasoned defense attorneys and they are massacred. And the criminal elements escape because they have better attorneys than the police officers. This is a perfect example. So what I would recommend is the Police Service Commission should have acted immediately to have these individuals suspended. The Police Complaints Authority should also have launched an investigation on this whole matter and even investigate the politicians who were very instrumental in pushing the agenda to try to manipulate the minds of the public into believing that Ulla Christopher was guilty and she had to prove her innocence, which is not the way it works.
Understood. And even moving forward, what do you think are the type of initiative that has to be done within the police service, not just to increase public confidence, but internal employee stakeholder confidence in each other?
Yeah. Excellent question. The first thing is we have to remove the Professional Standards Bureau. That PSB has been an avenue for bacchanal, corruption, backstabbing. Police officers go in there and they spend their time trying to lick up the senior officers to get their job. We even had one who made a report littered with lies that smeared the character and the reputation of ACP Wendell Lucas, who was supposed to have been appointed as a DCP in Parliament. But because of that fake report by this ACP, he was removed. And then when it is because the politicians didn't realize that when I launched an investigation, we realized that everything that this joker said was a lie. But the man's reputation was already affected. Lucas did not get appointed, and now he has moved on. So that PSB, that is the same PSB where rogue officers in the police service tried to liaise with others to try to have me removed, not realizing the person they used outside was an informant for me. So he gave us sworn affidavit showing rogue officers who were involved in deliberately trying to manipulate and fabricate a matter to have me removed. That is what the PSB is about. It has to be removed and have it equate with the internal affairs in the United States, where you have an organization of police officers separate and apart from the TTPS, and they can actually go under the Police Complaint Authority. So that is what is required to prevent this type of nonsense taking place all the time with police trying to lick up police to get their job. The other matter has to do with the selection process of the Commissioner of Police, not knocking Erla. We continue to knock Erla because of her well, she doesn't seem to be the sharpest tool in the shed, but that's not her fault. She applied. When we had international experts selecting the Commissioner of Police based on the merit list, Erla Christopher could not come in the top 20. And then they changed it from the international experts to have the Police Service Commission do the process. And that Police Service Commission of Judith Jones, Maxine Atong, and these others, they imposed Erla on us. So somebody who didn't come in the top 20. So when I got 82%, they were by qualified experts. Erla Christopher got 52, 20 other persons who were ahead of her. And then when they changed it now, the Police Service Commission could see the same individual who could come in the top 20 a couple of years before, could now come number one. We are selecting the wrong persons when you have a locally based Police Service Commission who's appointed by a president, who's appointed by politicians, and the Police Service Commission, none of them are trained, qualified, or experienced in any aspect of policing or law enforcement. They are going to make the wrong choice, and when they make the wrong choice, the country suffers. So we must first, as I said, shut down the PSP, have the powers of arrest and investigation, specifically with the Police Complaint Authority, and two, revert to international qualified experts going through the process for the selection of Commissioner of Police through the merit list and not through the Police Service Commission.
Right, but there is a recruitment for the Police Service Commissioner that's coming up quite soon. And so the question lies, would you even be interested in going back into such a toxic working environment?
No, but I think that has already been done. They were moving at a pace there. I think there's interviews and so forth, but as I said, that was selected by a Police Service Commission. So, and this is not to knock the individuals who are in the merit list at this time, but it would be better for the country that whole thing should be scrapped and you go through a proper process. Penn State, for example, selected Dwayne Gibbs over all of the other police officers. UK experts selected myself. I got 82%. And then I'll give you an example. I will get 82% and still get more than everybody else. And the Police Service Commission at the time, involving Martin George and Commodore Franklin and others, they decided to put me fourth, even though I got the highest number of points, because they are the Police Service Commission. And remember, they were selected by politicians. So a politician could say, hey, remember who put you there? That is the problem. It cannot be the Police Service Commission. So there is a present merit list, but as I said, that merit list was based on civilians in the Police Service Commission with no training, qualification, or knowledge in law enforcement. How could these persons have the capability to select? We will select other Erlas, we will select other McDonald Jacobs, we will select other Stephen Williams. We don't need that. What we need is Dwayne Gibbs, we need Brandy Burrows. We need qualified international experts to select the best person for the job as police commissioner, and not civilians with no training or knowledge because they were appointed as a police service commission by a president who's appointed by politicians.
But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Prime Minister in her address last week would have addressed that and hinted to the fact that that process would be scrapped.
Well, until that is done, we still have to accept it for what it is. And as I said, the good thing for this country is that I have worked, even though the present Prime Minister and myself, we had the same mission, which was to remove the PNM, but we had a different direction. At least the one thing that I'm comfortable with is the things that I would have seen from the present administration of prime ministers trying to manipulate a commissioner of police, trying to get him put in $40 million in the account of the police service to investigate political opponents, trying to tell the commissioner of police who must be arrested because of him being clueless not to understand public service regulations, meant we couldn't arrest people in their homes, but we could arrest them out in the public. And people, because they're so blinded by politics, still try to argue with the police about it. Thankfully, this present Prime Minister, when I was there as a security minister and advisor, she never manipulated the system to try to influence the commissioner of police, try to fire a director of the SSA because he's not doing what we want. So hopefully those problems no longer exist. The problem that must be rectified is the process for the selection of the Commissioner of Police. Don't get me wrong, when that is done, the Police Service Commission can assess the performance of the Commissioner of Police because you have an idiot's guide, reduction in crime, financial reports, administration, public trust and confidence in the Commissioner, public trust and confidence in the police service. They can do that, but they do not have the capability to question and interview and interrogate someone to see whether they are the best person for the job as Commissioner of Police.
Right, and even as it pertains to the current budget available at the Office of the Attorney General. We heard him saying that when he spoke to his PS, he was told that the vault for legal expenses has been overdrawn. How does that affect justice in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, definitely it would. I mean, when I drafted the Ministry of Justice for Kamala Prasad, and it was to deal with so many of the flaws in the criminal justice system. But money isn't everything. There are a lot of things that can still be done back at the ranch. For example, ways to reduce recidivism in the prisons, ways to improve rehabilitation by giving persons the opportunity to have a trade when they leave prison, making sure that persons cannot stay in remand for a longer period than the length of the maximum length of the sentence for the crime that they committed, making sure that police absenteeism, we had about, it was ridiculous. It was like about 9 out of every 10 cases were being lost because police didn't show up to the court and nothing was done to the officers. So there's a lot that can be done based on good leadership and putting systems of accountability and to measure performance. So even though there is a shortage of funding based on probably bad spending, bad management or whatever in the past, things can still be done in the present.
Excellent. And even before you go, is there anything that you want to say to the present police commissioner in her last few days in office?
Yeah, again, Ulla, I really wish you the best. I mean, what they did to you, no one will wish that on their worst enemy. It was unfortunate, but you were used and sidelined in the same way they tried it to me. They certainly would not have done that to me. If they had turned up in my office, I would have chased them like a dog because I would have shown them the law and run them. Because no way, as a commissioner of police, you could come in my office, no little corporal or somebody could come and tell me I arrested you. I'll run you because show me what you arrested me for. You couldn't arrest me. I am free, and I would have shown them the law. But so what they did with me is whisper to the ears of politicians to have a meritless move because they know that I would adhere to the state regulations. I don't adhere to the little corporal coming and feeling that they could arrest me with lies because you have your plan. So what they did with Ulla was, I think, totally unfortunate. It was nasty. And I do hope that the individuals who have done that should be, as I said, they should be removed from the legal department. They should be removed from senior positions. Because if they did that to Ulla, they could do that to any law-abiding citizen in this country. And in fact, they did it. They did it to Brent Thomas. It was done to Brent Thomas when it was approved by a Minister of National Security who gave them the approval. And a judge stated that this person should be removed from office. And instead of her being removed, the Police Service Commission, who were handpicked by politicians, decided to promote the individuals to Deputy Commissioner of Police. That is tantamount to us being a police state. So it is hoped that these matters can be rectified. A proper Police Service Commission that is impartial and not being blinded by politics can do the right thing. And that Ulla Christopher, God is good. You're definitely not a James Bond, but you're a good person and you deserve to be back where you are and that your name has been cleared.
Excellent. We want to thank you so much for your time this morning and for that thorough explanation. Again, we want to hope that you have a great day. Guys, we're going to take a quick break right here and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
The energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Spring. Contact 49 Swift 4979 438.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, as promised, we continue with much more discussions here. And this morning I have the privilege of chatting with Assemblyman Kelvin Morris, who is also the representative for Darrow Spring BIM. Now, this morning we are talking about a number of topics, but we start off with that landmark judgment against the THA that we saw coming out yesterday as it regards to the unlawful dismissal of 13 employees. Have you been paying attention?
Certainly. Let me firstly say good morning to you, Ms. Felix, and good morning to all of Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and all our loyal listeners on this very informative program.
Right. And as it pertains to that judgment, I'm guessing obviously you would have seen that come out. Are you aware of the case, the situation of those 13 persons being dismissed? So it was said that these persons would have been employed since 2009 and were dismissed, I believe, in 2022. What are your views on this judgment?
Well, as per the judgment, this was a clear-cut case of political victimization. It was unfair, unjust, and very heartless, ultimately, because I've always maintained that we are Tobagonians first, aside from all things. And therefore, notwithstanding administrations may change, we must first treat Tobagonians, as people. And there is a right way and a wrong way to do things. And therefore, the court found that the approach was clearly one of political vindictiveness and wickedness. And this must not be tolerated in this Tobago space as we go forward. I also understand that there are multiple matters of this nature still pending awaiting judgment. And, you know, for me this morning, I'm quite disappointed in our Chief Secretary, the Honorable Fali Chavez Augustine, because here it is. The court has found your administration wanting, acting illegally, unlawfully is the word they use. And rather than humble yourself, accept the judgment and deal with the people in a decent manner, ensuring that they, after 3.5 years, they receive some kind of compensation. You are now going to waste precious Tobago taxpayers' money to go and put in some lawyer's hand to appeal a matter where there seems to be little to no likelihood of that matter being overturned. Because at least we in Tobago, we deserve, if you are going to appeal the matter, well, bring to bear what is the grounds you are going to appeal this matter on. And I think every right-thinking Tobagonian should call on this Chief Secretary to accept the judgment and let us move on. and let us move on in a manner that contract workers will feel a sense of security that while yesterday it was the community partnership unit, tomorrow it will not be my unit. Because the fact is, contract workers now are working in a sense of fear, because it may also be we have another election in a couple months, and they may be wondering if the other administration, if administrations change, if that would be their portion.
The precedents.
And the president, and I am happy this judgment has come, so it goes across the board, spanning administrations, that you would understand that regardless of the political changes, the persons who are employed in the THA must be treated with dignity and with respect.
Right, and even in a situation where there were plans to restructure that unit, what would you have recommended the approach be as it pertains to, you know, trying to possibly change how things were done? Because there is the statement that there was little to nothing to show for the work that had been done from 2009 to 2022. When asked to produce reports on the work that was done within that unit, it was difficult for any evidence to be produced that actual work was being done there.
So, two things first and foremost. I've said to my colleagues that this policy, this must not become a revolving door where when governments change, some are exchanged in and some are exchanged out. So this policy of simply terminating persons based on political or on perceived political affiliation must stop. And we must also correct that kind of misinformation that was spread as justification for terminating hard-working, diligent Tobagonians. As far as I understand, there were 2 meetings. The first meeting, when the reports were provided, I understood the chief administrator then commended the CPU for their work, and the follow-up meeting caught the workers by surprise, because they were of the opinion that the reports as presented satisfied the chief administrator's view of what they were doing. So, and of course, I'm sure arguments of such nature were made in the court, and of course, the judgment also found no justification to those claims. So, you know, while it is easy to spread propaganda and misinformation, the facts did not bear that out. So I want to deal with that categorically. And even if there's an efficiency issue, there are ways within the system to improve efficiency and to also manage people through performance appraisals. And if we have a proper performance management appraisal system, then that will take care of those who are not doing that which they are being paid for. Because we can't be hypocritical. We cannot be in one breath saying we are terminating employees in one breath, but you are on a recording saying that you are willing to hire people to do things that which are not for the public interest, but for your political interest. So in one breath, you're saying you're firing people because they're not doing anything, but you were caught recorded basically trying to create a situation where you can use the very same THA to hire people for your personal propaganda. So that they cannot be hypocritical on that matter. I also want to say a second thing. When you have situations like this, first and foremost, we must ask, what is the role of the HR? Because it should not be politicians getting in the way of these decisions. It should come from empirical data, what the HR is saying. How are we going to, because they have many different ways to treat with, you could have redeployed employees if they are so willing to be redeployed. If you had to terminate, there's a process to terminate, but the court found that you simply just terminated, right? Yeah.
Without any compensation.
Without any compensation. And that is the other part, that you are sending home persons who are working, gave service to the THA for umpteen years, over a decade of service, and you didn't even have the heart to say, let me at least provide them with some form of compensation.
Yeah, compensation package.
Correct.
But for you, this hit home because your wife was one of those employees that was affected by this. And how has that been, seeing it firsthand, and how do you think that has affected many of the families that would?
I try to separate my public duty from my private duty, and therefore, you know, while of course my wife was one of the persons who unfortunately was terminated when this unit was disbanded, I see the bigger picture of simply Tobagonians, you know, who are properly qualified in various fields, at the CPEP level, at TATCO, at CPU, at monitoring evaluation. I understand, just as a human being, how mentally distressing this can be, where you are earning an income today, and the next day you do not even know where the next penny is going to come from. How are you going to feed your children? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to pay rent? And therefore, it is from that perspective, I, as a Tobagonian, really felt it for those workers, and I'm happy the court supports the view of many Tobagonians that this act by Farley Chavez Augustine and his rest of his friends were unlawful, unfair, and politically wicked.
Do you think the connection to you would have driven that decision to disband or dismantle that unit?
Well, it is a bigger connection. It is a connection to political vindictiveness, where an incoming government has taken the position that all persons who were hired during the tenure of the PNM are for some reason PNM, not recognizing that they were voted in overwhelmingly. So it meant that even perhaps people who supported the PNM in the past would have had to support them this time around. And you know what is hurtful? The Chief Secretary gave his word to those workers. He said on multiple occasions that you contract workers, you have absolutely nothing to fear. We will not terminate your jobs. That is a man giving his word. And what the Chief Secretary has proven is that on this occasion, as with many things, he is not a man of his word, and he's not a man to be trusted.
Understood. Now we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back as we continue with much more discussion. See you soon.
Sure.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games, and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Chanel Felix. Guys, we continue our discussions this morning with Minority Leader Kelvon Morris. Now, this morning we were talking about that THA unit that got dismissed and the court judgment pertaining to that. But not very long ago, we saw the results of the general election that saw some results that were unexpected on some sides and quite expected on others. I haven't heard from you since then. Were you shocked by those results?
Of course, shocked, disappointed, but at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer on, really accepting and respecting the choices of persons when it comes to political decisions. So ultimately, you go through the process and you come to the position of acceptance, and therefore you come to understanding also there are lessons in the messages in the results, and it is to do the introspection, it is to do the recalibration, and it is to get down and ultimately do the work that is necessary to really regain the trust of those who on this occasion did not support in the numbers you needed them to support. So yes, it was a bit disappointed, a bit shocking, but let me at this juncture also extend congratulations publicly to the 2 TPP candidates, representatives that were successful, and of course to the UNC government that is now forming the national government of Trinidad and Tobago. So I want to publicly extend to them and best wishes, because ultimately their success is the country's success.
Right. And even as it pertains to that, your party reconciling after that loss and trying to rebuild, you are now going back out in the community and having those discussions with your members, asking where the breakdown has taken place. And if you have been a part of those discussions, how has that been going? And tell us about more of that type of community consultation.
So I've not yet been able to participate in those conversations. So there have been 2 that have gone before, But from my understanding, they have gone really well because the objective ultimately is one, to report to our membership, have them have a clear sense of where we are, because one of the good things of an election, it is one of the best polls you can ever get as to what are the sentiments and where, you know, you are positioned as a political institution. And therefore, you know, it gives us an opportunity to allow our members to recognize that all is not lost. Although we lost both seats, there were some signs of recovery, because when you do the extrapolation of the data, it shows that notwithstanding that we lost, if it was a Tobago, a THA election, and all things being equal, we would have won 5 seats. We would have competed very closely in 3 to 4 seats, and therefore coming from a 14-1 overwhelming defeat in 2021 to now be at this position 6 or 8 months away from an election is not too bad of a place to be, and therefore it just tells you there's work to be done. And that's why these conversations are extremely important, because it allows you genuine communication with the membership for them to tell you how they feel, what they think you're doing good, what you're not doing good, what they would like to see more of, and even for you now to make the adjustments going along.
Do you think the close defeat in Tobago West is a positive motivating factor for PNM supporters to come out and vote in the next THA election?
Well, I think it does provide that sense of motivation, because notwithstanding that we lost, you're now understanding that you really have majority district support in the West, because the West carries about 8 seats. And when you do the extrapolation of the data, you would have won 5 of the 8 seats. So that in itself is positive, and therefore it really motivates the people to really come out, be part of the rebuilding process. And I want to make a special plug to our young Tobagonians who at this point, after supporting a party of young people, might still feel disillusioned. You have an opportunity to be part of the People's National Movement that is now led by young people like yourself, with fresh ideas, willing to do things differently and better. And therefore, we welcome everyone with an idea for progress for Tobago to get on board within the next 8 months or so. Of course, at this point, not everybody could be a candidate, but there's nominations open for those persons. There's room for you to come in and work with the party in all its various forms to ensure that we can present a plan to Tobago, a plan of development that is transformative, that is real, and that is achievable, and one that would really ensure that we include all of Tobago going forward in Tobago's development potential, because we have an island that is pregnant with potential and opportunities, but we have not been able to really tap into those opportunities in the way that we should.
Right, and there's a saying that when the average Tobagonian is dissatisfied, they vote for someone else. But when the PNM supporters are dissatisfied, they just don't vote. How do you reconcile this type of ideology that exists within the Tobago voting system?
So I think that is why we are doing the reaching out, genuine reaching out to our membership, because we understand, even when you look at the numbers, and you see the drop off in PNM support, it's not necessary that all the members or supporters or persons who voted have just gone across to alternative parties, but it is really one where they are withholding, in some instances, their support. And it's really to unlock and engage them to find out why. What are the things that you are not comfortable with? And how do we build back that trust and rebuild that relationship to ensure going forward that we regain your support? So you're very correct, because even when you look at the results in this election, it is not so much that Tobagonians came out and voted overwhelmingly for the TPP, but it was more a situation where perhaps the national issues of back pay and salary review commission, especially given, and this is a point I think is important in Tobago space, that a lot of our workers are public servants and daily paid, daily rated workers, and they are PSA and NUGFW who perhaps did not take the 4%, so they would not have had a back pay for a while. So the national issues perhaps trump the THA issues, but if you look at what the PDP got in 2021 to what the TPP got, you would see a drop-off even in their support.
Understood. Well, we want to thank you so much for being here this morning and for offering those perspectives. And guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussions. We want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have been doing and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.